The unraveling. Cass, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? The question has been a ghost at my heels since childhood, whispered during sleepovers and shouted across playgrounds. My friends' answers were always a kaleidoscope of comic book dreams: flight, superhuman strength, the ability to glow in the dark. Mine was simpler, quieter. I just wanted to be invisible. Even then, I think some part of me knew it wasn't about hiding. It was about saving myself, though I was never sure from what. I don't know, I murmured, the lie tasting like ash on my tongue. I stood, brushing invisible dust from my skirt. My face wore its usual mask, half bored, half lost. A carefully constructed shield to hide the fact that my mind was always somewhere else. The others' laughter faded back into the ambient noise of their lives, but I was already gone, drifting on an internal current, far, far away. Things were not going according to plan. My life felt like a train I was perpetually running behind, watching as everyone else found their seats. People my age were building careers, falling in love, becoming someone. My own becoming felt sluggish, mired in mud. I'd imagined that life after graduation would be a straight line to independence. A simple equation of work equals money. 6 months with a journalism degree and a stack of rejection letters had taught me otherwise. The world didn't want my words. It made the casual boasting of other parents a special kind of torture. My son, the lawyer, my daughter, the graphic designer. Meanwhile, my own mother's friends would look at me with pitying eyes. And at home, things were just as tense. My mom, Susan, and my sister, Alba, walked on eggshells around my moods. They wanted me to try, to just snap out of it. But how do you try when you don't even know what you're supposed to be trying for? Invisibility. That was the answer. To move through the world unseen. To work and breathe and exist without the weight of expectation. Without the constant crushing question. What have you achieved? Lost in these thoughts, my shoulder collided with something solid. A wall of muscle. I stumbled back, looking up at a giant of a man whose face was pinched with annoyance. Hey, watch it, he grunted, looking down at me. Get a life. Daydreaming won't pay your bills. I'm so sorry, I mumbled. The apology automatic, fake. A flare of heat went through me. I wished I could hit him. A sharp, satisfying crack for every condescending word. But I just lowered my head and hurried on. By the time I looked up, the familiar architecture of my street had materialized around me. I hadn't even registered the journey home. How was your day? Mom's voice came from the living room as the front door clicked shut behind me. It was great, I called back, the lie so practiced it felt like breathing. Who gets tired of making money, I thought with a bitter internal laugh. My legs ached from pounding the pavement, from smiling at receptionists who had no jobs to offer. I retreated to my room, a sanctuary that was beginning to feel like a cell. The tension with Mom and Alba was a thick, suffocating fog. They wanted me to behave, to be the daughter they recognized. But I couldn't even find an agreement with myself. My purpose was a blank page. The fear that my life would never be great was a constant low-grade hum beneath my skin. My mom is a single mother. I've seen the lines of exhaustion carved into her face from years of making a life for us. She deserved a daughter who could give her peace, who could change our lives. The guilt of my failure was a heavy cloak, and I wore it everywhere, reflecting my own misery back onto them. Cass, Alba called, her footsteps soft in the hall. What is it? I snapped, the word sharper than I intended. Her voice, when it came, was gentle, which only made me feel worse. Mom and we want to talk to you. About what? Just everything. Please come downstairs. A sigh of defeat escaped me. Fine. I found Mom in her armchair, hands crossed tightly in her lap, a storm brewing in her eyes. My heart began to hammer against my ribs. A frantic, trapped bird. What is it? Does she hate me? Is she finally fed up with my behavior? What next? She tells me I was adopted by accident from a circus? I rolled my eyes at my own ridiculous thoughts. Honestly, it wouldn't even be the weirdest thing today. But still. Why did I feel like a guest in my own life? Was I really that much to handle? Too lost, too much, too nothing? Cass, Mom's voice cut through my spiraling thoughts. Yes? Were you saying something? No, nothing, I said quickly. Why did you call me down? Did something happen? Cass, I want you to sit down first. Her tone was solemn, final. I sank onto the sofa, feeling like a defendant awaiting sentencing. She took a deep breath. Cass, she began, her voice trembling slightly. After your father and I divorced, I knew I could never fill that space for you. I know you hide how much it hurts. You swallow your feelings so that I won't feel bad. And I see you dying from the inside. I grew up without a father, too. I know what it's like to feel like there's an unsolved puzzle at the very center of you. I don't want you to repeat my story. She leaned forward, her eyes pleading. Life isn't a straight line, honey. It's not structured. Not for anyone. Not even for those perfect people you see on social media. Everybody has their own war to fight. Success isn't about never falling, it's about not giving up. But you don't have to force it. Not when you're still so young. You just have to find what makes you happy, no matter how long that journey takes. Her composure finally broke. A tear traced a path through her makeup. So, my dear, I want you to go away for a while, to your grandma's house. I want you to have the time and space to figure out what your happiness looks like, even if it means sacrificing everything else to find it. I want my happy daughter back. The dam inside me broke. A sob tore from my throat as I surged forward and wrapped my arms around her. We clung to each other, crying for a solid 10 minutes, a silent storm of shared pain and unspoken fears. I was the first to pull back, my voice thick. Thank you, Mom. I don't know what to say. You're so tired of hearing people talk about their successful kids, about how I'll end up. Stop, she said, her voice firm but loving. Your journey is not their journey. Don't you ever compare your path to anyone else's. She kissed my forehead. I went back to my room and began to pack. Part 2. The Disappearance. The next morning, I said my goodbyes and folded myself into the back of a cab. The city shrank in the rearview mirror, its familiar faces and pressures dissolving with the distance. Grandma lived 100 kilometers from the capital, in a world that smelled of damp earth and wood smoke instead of exhaust fumes. When I arrived, she was waiting on the porch, a silhouette of warmth against the rustic wood of her house. Everything about the place felt like a fresh start, a deep, cleansing breath. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of something like hope. It was one morning, about a week later, that the world tilted on its axis. I woke up feeling exhausted. A deep cellular weariness. A hot shower, I thought, would shock me back to life. I turned the knob until the water should have been scalding, but as it cascaded over my skin, I felt nothing. Not hot, not cold, just a strange numbness. A profound disconnect between my body and the world. I chalked it up to fatigue. Cass, breakfast is ready. Grandma's voice echoed from the kitchen. I dressed and walked toward the sound, finding her at the stove with her back to me. She was still calling my name. I'm right here, Granny, I said, a smile playing on my lips. You can't see me? I think your eyes are getting old. Cass, please be fast, dear, she called again, completely ignoring me. A prickle of unease ran down my spine. I reached out to touch her shoulder to let her know I was there. My fingers made contact with the fabric of her blouse, but she didn't react. What is wrong with her? I muttered. I gave the cloth a small, insistent tug. She turned around with a gasp. Oh, my lord, she exclaimed, her eyes wide as they scanned the empty space around her. What was that? I felt like something pulled my shirt. She peered past me, down the hallway. She must have gone out looking for work without eating. Oh, that poor child. Anger and confusion warred within me. What is wrong with you, Granny? I ran to my bedroom, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I stared into the full-length mirror on the closet door and saw nothing. Not a reflection, not a flicker of movement, just the empty room staring back at me. No, I whispered, backing away. I stumbled into the bathroom and stared at the mirror above the sink. The same terrifying emptiness. The soap dish, the toothbrush holder, the floral wallpaper, but no me. This is a dream, a nightmare. Wake up, Cass, wake up, what? I slapped my cheek, but there was no sting, only the faint pressure of impact. The world remained stubbornly, terrifyingly real. I ran back to the kitchen and threw my arms around my grandmother, pressing my face into her back. She didn't even flinch. I could feel the warmth of her body, smell her familiar scent of cinnamon and lavender. But for her, I wasn't there. I discovered I could grasp things, a doorknob, a pen, but my touch was weightless, imperceptible to others. The truth crashed down on me with the force of a physical blow. My stupid, childish wish had come true. I collapsed to the floor, tears streaming from eyes no one could see. Please, I sobbed, my voice raw and desperate. Please, Grandma, listen to me. See me, I'm right in front of you. Please. My pleas were answered by the tinny voice of an old television commercial echoing from the living room. Go discover the world. Discover who you are. Know your purpose. Seize it. The words hung in the silent kitchen. Discover the world. An idea, sharp and sudden, pierced through my grief. I grabbed a pen and a notepad from the counter. With trembling hands, I wrote a note, placing it carefully on the kitchen table where she would find it eventually, but not so suddenly as to frighten her. Grandma and Mom, I'm on a journey to find myself. Don't worry about me. I'm safe. I'll come back when I know my purpose. The next morning, as the sun painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, I stuffed a few clothes into my backpack. I was a ghost in my own life, a silent observer. I walked out the door and into my new, undiscovered world. Part 3. The Invisible Thief. The freedom was intoxicating. It was a euphoric, dizzying rush. No one saw me. No one judged me. I could stumble. I could dance. I could do the silliest things in the middle of a crowded square and remain utterly alone. I wore what I wanted. My skin could break out without a second thought, and I sang at the top of my lungs with my terrible voice, the sound swallowed by the wind. It was peace. It was liberation. I walked into the most expensive stores and dressed myself in silks and cashmeres I could never have afforded. The alarms would blare, security guards would scramble, and I would be long gone. I became a minor legend in certain circles, a poltergeist with a taste for haute couture. They'd check the security cameras and see a Chanel dress float off its hanger and out the door. People fainted. They whispered of bad spirits. I ate at Michelin-star restaurants, the food disappearing from plates meant for other paying customers. Technically, it was stealing, but I didn't care. I flew from country to country, a stowaway in first class. I saw the sunset over the Colosseum in Rome, walked the ancient stones of the Acropolis in Greece, felt the rain on my face in Paris, and lost myself in the neon-drenched streets of Seoul. I even tried to do good. I would take food from grocery store shelves and leave it on the doorsteps of the poor, who woke to find what they believed were miracles. But after countless days, the novelty began to fade, replaced by a dull, aching boredom. My life, once again, had become a routine. No matter what I did, the thrill was gone. Human desire, I realized, is a bottomless pit, especially when it's untethered from rules and consequences. My conscience, long dormant, began to stir. I was a thief, no matter if my intentions were occasionally good. I hated the person I was becoming, someone who didn't care at all. I decided to go back to Grandma's. It was late at night as I was passing through a wealthy district on the outskirts of a town that I heard it. The sound of a man sobbing, a raw, guttural sound of pure agony. "It's all my fault," he cried, his voice choked. "I can't believe I killed someone." The sound pulled me like a magnet. It came from a place Grandma had once pointed out, a gated community she called the Rich Town. The mansions were breathtaking, architectural marvels of glass and stone, surrounded by immaculate gardens and high security. I followed the voice to a balcony, where a figure was silhouetted against the ambient light. He was clinging to the railing, his body shaking with grief. The house was enormous, the garden twice the size of our entire apartment back home. I had to know who he was. I had to understand. I scaled the wall and climbed to his balcony, my movements silent and sure. He was still crying, lost in his own private hell. I approached him slowly, my hand outstretched, wanting to offer a comfort I knew he couldn't feel. As the tips of my fingers neared his head, a strange shiver went through me. I touched his hair. It was soft as silk, knowing he wouldn't react. But he did. He lifted his head, and I snatched my hand back, my heart seizing in my chest. For a terrifying second, I thought he'd seen me. But his gaze was distant, unfocused. I saw his face clearly then, and it was majestic. His eyes were a startling hazel, begging for release from a cage of pain. His features were perfectly symmetrical, his jawline sharp and defined. He was tall with a strong, athletic build, and his lips were soft, drawn into a grimace of sorrow. I felt a bizarre, unfamiliar flutter in my chest, a feeling I couldn't name. My heart was a wild thing, trying to beat its way out of my body. He turned and went back inside his room, grabbing his phone. I followed him like a shadow. "John," he said into the phone, his voice rough. "Yeah, it's me. Am I still on for tonight?" A pause. "Yes, but I'll cover it. You rest, Benoni." A voice crackled back from the speaker. Benoni. The name was beautiful, a wave of happiness, an emotion that had felt alien for so long, washed over me. "No, no need," Benoni replied. "It happened. I'll be there." He ended the call. What had happened? How could this beautiful, grieving man have killed someone? He left the room, and I trailed behind him, a duckling following its mother. As we reached the grand staircase, an older woman's voice called out, "Are you going to the hospital?" We both turned. "Yes, I am," he said, his voice flat. "I came to get the rest of my things, but I don't have time. I'll come back tomorrow." "Ben-Oni," the woman said, her voice strained. "Have you ever wondered what a mother will do alone in this huge house?" He stopped, his back rigid. "Then let me ask you," he replied, his tone dripping with ice. "Have you ever wondered what a mother's boyfriend thinks when her grown-up son interferes?" "Benoni, stop saying those words," she pleaded. He didn't respond. Ignoring her, he strode towards the garage. The tension between them was a palpable, freezing cold. They were two people drowning, standing right next to each other. He opened the door to a sleek, dark car. As he slid into the driver's seat, I slipped into the passenger side, pulling the door shut just before he did. He wouldn't feel the air shift, wouldn't notice the slight click. He was alone with his ghosts, and I was alone with him. After a 20-minute ride in complete silence, we arrived at a vast, sprawling hospital, its lights cutting through the darkness like a beacon.
If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. The next part coming soon.